Welcome into this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Jones, here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we have reaction to Mike Macdonald and John Schneider's post-NFL draft press conference. We will show you what they had to say. We'll react to it on the draft, as well as some of the moves they made, including the Sam Howell trade, and where this team goes from here. All that and more coming up on today's program. Before we go any further in today's show, I got a little poll out there for the 12, so I'm very curious how you guys feel. Did you love the Seahawks draft? And it seems like everybody did for the most part. If so, like today's video. I want at least 500 likes if you did love this draft. Now, if you're one of the haters out there, here's your chance to sound off and tell me what you really think. Comment why you didn't like this draft, one way or the other. Like the video if you loved it. If not, comment and tell me why, and we'll get started with today's show. So let's get to it. Mike Macdonald and John Schneider, they held their post-draft press conference this week where they touched on a number of issues of where this team goes from here, what they thought of this draft, and certain individuals and their roles. And let's begin with the Sam Howell trade, as Sam Howell was traded on day 3 to the Minnesota Vikings, and it allowed a pick swap to happen where Seattle was able to move up in the draft as a result of the trade. They didn't get a ton for Sam Howell, but they got at least something out of him. And you think about it, the way that last year's trade, when they brought in Sam Howell, went, it was the equivalent on the draft scale of a 7th-round pick. And so based on how things worked out, it didn't really cost you anything trading away Sam Howell compared to what you paid for him a year ago. Not to mention, Sam Howell did not look good when he was on the football field this past season. So here's what John Schneider had to say on the Sam Howell trade. It started at the owners' meeting, talking with Rob Brzezinski and Kowisi, a couple guys in the Minnesota Vikings front office, just about the situation, what it looked like. We had met with Drew, referring to Drew Lock down there. There was a possibility to sign Drew back. We liked the quarterbacks in the draft, and we thought there was a chance that might happen. There were several teams that were interested. Minnesota was a team that ended up pulling the trigger. And here's the deal. This was the right call to trade Sam Howell. I think I can say pretty confidently, and I said so at the time when Seattle traded for him a year ago, that I don't think he's better than Drew Lock. And Drew Lock actually played pretty decent. Go back to that final game of the regular season with the New York Giants last year. I would take him over Sam Howell any day, not to mention you were bringing in Jalen Milroe in the draft as well. And I think this quarterback room got much better. The Jalen Milroe draft pick ended up being the final result of the Geno trade, by the way, for inquiring minds that were very curious. And here's another thing, too. You got what you could. All right? Was it a lot? No. But it was a player that, let's be real for a second, you were going to cut based on the fact that you made up your mind that you were signing Drew Lock and that you were going to draft a quarterback. The odd man out of the scenario was Sam Howell. And there was no way in God's green earth that this team was going to carry 4 quarterbacks. And we'll see if they even carry more than 2 quarterbacks. That's another topic for another day. But I can live with this trade. Even though you didn't get a ton, you got what you could, and it's better than releasing him for nothing. Who won the trade? It's our pinned comment today. Was it the Seattle Seahawks or was it the Minnesota Vikings? If you believe it was Seattle, type S for Seattle. If you believe it was Minnesota, type M for Minnesota. Weigh in and let us know. Number 2 on press conference takeaways. A lot of talk about this being an offensive-heavy draft for the Seahawks, as the 11 players that they selected, 9 of them were on offense. And with Mike Macdonald, Mike Mac being a defensive guy, you would have to wonder, is that what Mike Macdonald wanted, was to go offensive-heavy? But according to the man himself, he was just fine with it. Here's more from Mike. Honestly, I realized that at the end, going through the free agency process, and gave the defensive guys some grief. No, they're really excited. Excited about our UDFA class as well. The offensive guys were rocking and rolling today, as they should be. We got some really good players to join the team. All positive. It's great. So Mike Mac's just fine, A-OK with that. John Schneider had this to say on the offensive-heavy draft. It was just the way it happened. We had some defensive guys. We talk about the upsets. Things started happening. It was like, okay, we're going here. We're going here. We're going here. The offensive guys ended up standing out on the board. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the way things worked out. I know there are some people that are upset that Seattle did not draft a corner, as an example. But the truth of the matter is that going into the draft, the Seahawks defense was better than the Seahawks offense. And the offense needed more help than the defense did. And so just by that logic alone, it made sense that Seattle was going to invest more in the offense than they did in the defense. And it's not going to be like that every single year. All right? Every season, every draft is different. And the way that the cookie crumbled, the way that the dominoes fell as they may, just happened to favor offensive draft picks this year. Can the same be said next year? Time will tell. But I'm totally fine with that because the offense needed more, especially on the offensive line, and they spent a ton of picks on the offensive line. For the best Seahawks coverage around, you got to be subscribed to Seattle Seahawks today. We are not slowing down throughout the rest of this offseason, folks, as we're going to continue to bring you our daily news and rumors. We got live shows twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. We also bring you breaking news, whether it's here in the studio, whether it's me at home in the Jones Zone, whatever it may be. We're going to bring you videos each and every day here on the channel. For the latest happenings of your favorite team, all year, all off-season, all season long, you got to be subscribed to the channel. Best part about it, 100% free. I think we can get 20 subs off today's video. Why not? Why not us? Subscribe now, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Another topic that was brought up was looking at the last two drafts. Not just 2025, but 2024 as well. Did you know, my friends, that the Seahawks have selected 6 total offensive linemen in the last two drafts combined? Now, some of you might counter that and say, well, they haven't spent high enough draft picks on the offensive line. And you could argue that. Even with them going with Gray Zabel in the first round this year, you look at the other picks this year and last year, they were kind of going Costco or Sam's Club shopping of trying to find discounts and things not really paying off for them in that sense. But with that said, John Schneider was asked about the recent offensive line picks, and he said this. Gray was a standout. Bryce was the guy that Trent and Kirk loved, a very much under-the-radar kind of dude. They had buy-in with Mason, with the coaches and the guys that went to the school, the intelligence, the competitor, the toughness. He started or played 2023, I think it was almost the whole season, with a hairline fracture in his leg. He wanted to help them and played through it. Pretty rare these days. It used to happen all the time. He played through it. It's an area of need, but it always is. I can't emphasize that enough. Every team in the National Football League is looking to help their offensive line. It's just an ongoing issue. We'll have these guys in competing. We'll see where it goes with this new group, with these 3 guys coming in, the free agents that we sign. We'll see what it looks like. I liked what they did. Going with Zabel, going with these guys, like Bryce Cable and among others here, I think that they invested. And here's one way to look at it. The example I keep pointing to, all right? You've taken 6 offensive linemen in the last 2 drafts now. And you feel pretty confident about your left tackle spot with Cross, your left guard spot with Gray Zabel, your center position with Olu. I know not everybody feels that way, but Seattle feels pretty confident in Olu. And then Abraham Lucas to the right tackle spot. So then I look at the offensive linemen that have been drafted this year, last year, and then even before that, Anthony Bradford. All I need is just one of them to come through and develop and turn into a quality starting right guard. I don't care who it is. I just need one of them. And now you have a new offensive staff. You have a new O-line coach. Maybe they needed to hear from a different voice, needed to change the scenery of somebody that could develop offensive linemen better, because I wasn't seeing much results from Scott Huff last year as the offensive line coach. Somebody, I don't care who it is, just one more to fill up that right guard spot that needs to develop. And this offensive line should be much better than what we've seen in recent years. How would you grade the Seahawks draft? A, B, C, D, or F? How did John Schneider and Mike Macdonald do in 2025? If you had to give me a grade, what would it be? Weigh in the comment section. I'll even let you use plus-minus grades if you want. I hated plus-minus grades in school. But if that's your prerogative, by all means, go ahead and grade it in the comments section below. Number 4 on our takeaways from the Macdonald and Schneider press conference. Schneider talked about the plan for addressing the interior offensive line, where they're at and where they're going from here after selecting Gray Zabel and Bryce Cable, and among others. How do things stack up right now? Schneider said this. Yeah, I think we talked about it last night a little bit, or maybe the night before. The group of offensive linemen, like once we got past the Super Bowl, through the Combine, speaking with everybody we needed to speak with, there were a couple guys we were really interested in, but we knew we could kind of lean back a little bit just based on picking 18. Where are these guys going to go? So I would say right in there. That was probably going in the plan. We knew we were going to address it. It's a step in the right direction. It's a huge step in the right direction of what they needed to do. Now, some folks would say it's a little slow in the process because they missed out on some of the guys in free agency that they were interested in. But at least now it's a step forward from here of getting those guys competing. And now you just got to figure out the right guard spot. The one thing holding Seattle back from being a playoff team in 2025 is the offensive line situation. And if they can get this figured out, particularly at the right guard spot, then this team is going to be able to compete with some of the best in the National Football League and make some real noise in the NFC this year if they can get this offensive line figured out, particularly at the right guard spot. What's your confidence level in the Seahawks O-line? Scale it for me 1 through 10. How you feeling about this group? Weigh in the comments section and let us know. Last on the list of takeaways, let's focus back on the head coach, Mike Macdonald, for a moment. He was asked about his vision for the roster, of how things are and where they are going, and Macdonald said this: we're on our way. We're growing. It's our job to expedite that process. We're competing for championships this year. That's what we want to do. I'm really confident that we're going to have that opportunity. That's the expectation for us. The last week of the guys being in the building, the spirit, the conversations we're having, it's so much fun to come to work every day. I can't wait to come back and get back to the second week of phase 1 of OTAs. That's the way it should be. That's the environment we're trying to create. These guys are excited to come to work every day, keep connecting, getting tougher, wiring out every day. Let the results speak for themselves. As I've said before, and I'll continue to reiterate, even with all the changes that have gone on in this massive overhaul that we've seen this offseason, saying goodbye to Geno Smith and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Draymond Jones, on and on and on. This is not a rebuild. This is a reload. This is a retooling. And all things considered, with the changes that have been made, they could have just thrown in the towel. They could have said, you know what, we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to go to the bottom and try to work our way up this way. But they didn't do so. They didn't take the easy way. They did things the right way. And, you know, you guys, I think most of you know this. I went to the University of Kansas. I love Bill Self, one of my favorite all-time coaches in all sports, not just because he went to my school. But the Hall of Famer Bill Self, he always said this about Kansas basketball. It's probably my favorite quote from him ever. Faces change, expectations don't. And I think that what we've seen in this organization, and credit to Pete Carroll for kind of establishing this, is that there is an expectation of success to win and to compete at the highest level and compete for championships. And now, based on what we've seen of these changes and where this team's going from here, I still have just as much, if not even more confidence in this team that I did at the end of last season. I think this team is built for the long haul. They got some right pieces in there. They got the right head coach leading the way. There's reason to be excited about what's ahead for the Seahawks heading into 2025 and beyond. If you enjoyed today's show, you already know what to do. Hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.